Hey, Trevor, great to be here with you.
What's up, Chris? It's great to see you again. It's been a while.
Yeah, you too. It's been a little while, but great to be on here and get to know you a little bit better, and definitely the audience. Start off by telling us a little bit about your background.
Yeah, well, I grew up in South Florida and started out really uh, with a passion for sports. So I was a Division I athlete. Um, you know, strive to be the best athlete as I could, and that's really where I thought my career was going to take me. Um, so grew up in South Florida, played baseball all throughout my life, and then recently moved to Northwest Georgia and married to the woman of my dreams. We met at 16 years old in high school, and yeah, man. So yeah, let's dive in. That sounds good.
Awesome. Did you play any other sports growing up?
I only played baseball. I had the opportunity to play, other sports, but for some reason, baseball just stuck with me. And during the time, especially in my younger years, um, you know, uh, my father left when I was a kid, so I was really looking for some you know, discipline and a direction. And so as soon as I found baseball, I just went with it. I realized I was really good. Um, was, on the top draft prospect list out of high school, was throwing 95 miles an hour, at 16 years old, and everything was kind of going great. And then had the opportunity, like I said, to play D1 ball at Tennessee Tech. And and that was great. But I love all sports, man. I played basketball just for fun, recreationally. I played, soccer, all the things. But baseball was early in my life was my vision to get to the big leagues and all that. But yeah.
Yeah, I know that was definitely something that was a goal and a dream of yours, and you're on your path. If you could talk, let's start there and just talk about what you saw separated the good from the great in high school and in college.
Yeah, so it's funny because a lot of what I do now, I look back from my baseball years, and what I would say is the good is talent, it's, ability, it's the natural gifts that some people have as athletes to do their thing. But the great is mindset, it's belief, it's conviction, it's resilience, it's grit, it's training every day to get better. And we've all heard these like cliche sayings, right, you can't outbeat hard work, et cetera, et cetera. But I found that for me, that was the ultimately demise of my professional career as a baseball player, because at that time I didn't recognize the power of the mindset, the power of having that vision and seeing things happen and creating a mental frame of what success looks like on the field and off the field. And I was, what would you say? I was relying on all of my natural gifts and talents, my speed, my athleticism, my strength, my power output, all of the things that great athletes have. But in order to truly be great, it's the mindset, it's the focus, it's the discipline, it's the mindset of never settling as an athlete. And the ones that ultimately step fully into that mindset are the ones that start to surpass other athletes. And the funniest thing and the coolest thing and the ironic thing is that that's exactly the same thing in business. That's exactly the same thing in life. It's exactly the same thing in our relationships, every area of our life. There's the natural gifts and talents that we've been given, and then there's the what do you do with those? How do you nourish those? How do you flourish those? How do you expand on those? And I think that's where I personally failed as an athlete. I thought that my talent was just going to get me there because that's what I was told. Not many people at that time were throwing that hard off the mound. Not many people that time were as fast, right, physically as me, in the sport. But I let the mind get the best of me, and so it's a big part of what I do today for people.
How old were you when you were being told, like, obviously you had these great talents and skills, you were special, things, you're gonna go places.
Yeah.
When did you first hear that or thought, wow, I could, I could have a career in this?
So it was really early on. I remember the first time I, joined, whatever they used to call it back then. I was like 6 years old, and I realized just naturally I was just really good. I was super talented, and so that's what kind of like sparked. I remember actually in my mind saying, "Oh my goodness, like I'm really good at this. This is fun," as a little kid. And then as I grew, it just got like better and better and better. And by the time I was in high school, it was kind of a known thing. Like, hey, Trevor Maloney is going to go get drafted. It was just it was I in my mind it was going to happen. And so there's something that I talk about a lot now, which is living living in your potential. And the crazy thing about that is because everybody told me that I always had potential, right? As an athlete, I agreed with them, but I never actually stepped fully into the potential, right? And I think as high achievers, as high performers, what happens is when you're doing better than most, people will tell you that you're doing great and you have so much potential, and it can mess with you because you know that you're capable of so much more. And that's what happened to me as an athlete. I knew I was capable of so much more, but I was almost trapped in this potential that people saw of me, but never actually realizing that. And and so to your question, right, I realized that I had that potential really early on. And personal circumstances, things happen, and I started to um, still play at a really high level, but I forgot about that mindset to step fully into that potential that I had.
No, it makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. So after becoming a D1 athlete, what was next for you?
Yeah, so I had a great career as an athlete. Again, thinking I was going to get drafted, ended up going Division 1. In fact, I actually went junior college after high school. I had offers from basically every big D1 that you can think of, and they took my scholarship when I hurt my shoulder. That's another story. But so I went in junior college for a year. We went to the Junior College World Series. Then I transferred out to Tennessee Tech, small, mid-sized D1 school in Tennessee. Again, I had offers from all kinds of big schools, but for some reason they reached out, and I just felt totally aligned with them. And so I had a great career there for 2 years. And at that point, Chris, I had a decision to make because I had the opportunity to sign as a free agent and, pursue the dream of professional baseball. But I never got that big draft, right? Where I was, first, second, third, fourth, fifth round in the draft. I never got that like I was expecting. So I had a free agent offer, which is basically like, here's a Snickers bar and $1,000 a month, and you're going to go, try to grind it out. And I remember making a hard decision, but a decision that I'm so grateful I made, which is I was going to go do something else. I was going to go start my quote unquote career. At that time, I had been with my girlfriend for since we were 16. So this would have been, 22 years old. So however many years that is, I decided I wanted to start my career and get married and do those things. And so from there, I actually went into the telecommunications industry. I had a job where I was literally selling AT&T. It was like a sweat house. It was crazy. Um, but there was a lot of, performance-based stuff, right? I was in sales. I was figuring out how to be successful. Very quickly, Chris, I got to the point where I was leading 45 sales agents. I was 22 years old. I was leading people, and I had to quickly figure out, how do I help people perform at their best, especially when they were older than me. I was 22. Some of these people were in their 40s and 50s on the phones, right? Um, and I did that for a couple years, was very, very successful at it. And then I realized that I had a passion for performance and leadership and mindset. And I actually met my mentor now, whose name is John Mattone. He's the #1 ranked executive coach in the world, former coach of Steve Jobs, organization called John Mattone Global. And I became a master certified coach with him. I still do work inside of his organization and coach leaders and help people step into their ultimate potential. And that was like the initial jolt of me getting into what I do today, which is working with high achievers, entrepreneurs, and executives that know they want more in their life, but they're just not sure how to get there. And so yeah, that's the initial. It was really a move of, faith. Actually, I just sent an email to John and was like, "Hey, I, found your stuff and I want to get into this industry." And he was like, "Hey, come on board." And then learned a ton. And now I coach leaders myself.
Oh, that's awesome. So as a high performance leadership coach, who do you typically work with? I know you mentioned, but if you could go over that again a little more in depth.
Yeah. So it's majority of the time, what I found is that there are people who achieve a certain amount of success in their life. And, six-figure earners, seven-figure earners, entrepreneurs that are scaling their businesses, executives that have finally hit the all the accolades and the titles and everything that they thought that they wanted, but then they still feel like there's something missing. And my overall approach is to work with those kinds of people who have already achieved that level of success, but now they want the next level without sacrificing what really matters to them. Maybe it's their faith, their health, their relationships, their fitness, the ability to show up and have the energy that they once had for their career, but they've lost it in every single other area of their lives, right? And so there's an element of, actual leadership predictive behavior where the same leadership that got you to where you are isn't the same leadership that's going to get you to the next level because you're in a different season of growth. And but to your question, those people that they maybe they haven't hit the mountaintop, right? But they've achieved what they thought they were striving for this whole time, and they're happy with that. But now they want to get to the next level, but bring everything to the next level, not just their finances, not just their role, not just their title, not just their career, but their family, their faith, their overall self-leadership and discipline that they know deep down is what they're capable of, but they're not executing day to day in their lifestyle like that.
That makes sense. I would say a lot of people want to get to the next level. What do you believe will help get them there?
Well, I think it's understanding, and it's such a good question. I think it's understanding where you're at right now in your growth journey. So there's a time and a place, I think, for everybody. I mean, I'm sure you can attest to this, Chris, right? When you launched FITTEAM, there's a time and a place for just resilience, grind, hustle, and sacrifice. Absolutely, right? But then when you get there, that same pattern of movement and energy and belief doesn't always get you to the next level. There's a book called 10x is easier than 2x. And it's true because once you reach a certain point, the same things that got you there are not going to get you to the next level. And I believe that when you focus on what I call aligned leadership, which is instead of trying to one dimensional way into success, you bring everything together. And so we look at things like what beliefs are holding you back from getting to the next level. One of those beliefs might be like, well, I have to continue to grind. I have to continue to hustle. I have to continue to, you know, spend 12 hours, 16 hours, 18 hours a day. Or it might be, well, if I go for the next level, it's going to impact my health. And so there's these beliefs, these core beliefs based off of our previous experiences, actions, behaviors, etc., where we're actually, as high performers, we can become more afraid of more success than staying comfortable. Because if your mind associates more success as sacrifice, as less health, less connection to your family, less connection to God and your faith, I mean, why would you go for more? But when you can switch your belief system and rewire your brain for the next level of success, now you can say, well, being fit is a part of my next level. Being connected to my family at a deeper level is part of my next level. Being, earning more income and building a legacy for my children is part of my next level. They don't have to be separated. It's what high performance leadership is at the highest level. And a lot of people feel like they're ready for that. They just don't know what that means. And that's really where I come in.
Right, makes sense. Uh, um, obviously there's a lot of documentation on high performers being connected to fitness. Love to have you
Mm,
touch on that and what you've seen and what you can share with us.
yeah, well, I think, I mean, to your point, man, I mean, you want to talk about the greatest medicine to relieve stress, anxiety, depression, doubt, everything is moving the body, right? Tony Robbins says it best. If you want to change your emotion, you have to get in motion. And that means move your body. That means get out of a state of stillness where you're just stuck on all the things that are going wrong, or you're stuck on all the things that you have to do, and get into your body, right? And move and feel good. Um, the more you move your body, the better you will feel 10 times out of 10, with no exception, outside of being injured, right? But if you're moving your body and staying fit, you will become more confident. You have more energy. You have more vitality. You have actually more space to do the things that you really want to do. But people, if they've lacked that for so long, that's even a scary subject, right? And so it's easy for high performers that haven't had the self-respect and the honor of their own bodies. It's easy for them to just cling to their, again, accolades and financial success, because that's low-hanging fruit for confidence, but that's fleeting. When you actually move in a direction that is challenging, right? And you get fit again. You watch yourself get fit. You watch yourself feel better. You will absolutely become more confident. And then better decisions, better vision, better excitement, better energy, all of that comes from there. So the literature is one thing, which is amazing, but it's also like, how do you feel? How do you feel right now? If you don't feel great physically, how do you expect to make accurate decisions in business? How do you expect to show up for your family at the highest level? How do you expect to, do anything at the highest level if you don't feel good physically, right? And so yeah, that's what I would say, man, is yeah, the data is there. It's obvious, but it's one of the easiest things to avoid, especially when you have things that validate your success, your outwardly success, and you can mask that with how you really feel inside. But I haven't felt, or I haven't met somebody who actually felt tremendously confident when they're not physically aligned with that confidence, right? If you don't take care of yourself, it's hard to become the person that you're truly capable of being. And it's not 100% of the work that I focus on with my clients, but it's a part. It's a part. It has to be a part of the resume for a high performer. It has to. So
100% spot on. So I know you're big into CrossFit. You love CrossFit. Did that start? When did that start? Was that immediately after college? When was that?
yeah, so my wife will probably watch this video and laugh at me, but after I stopped playing baseball, quote unquote, hung up the cleats, I was working out it, just like an LA Fitness. You were mentioning Lifetime earlier before the show here, um, a place similar to that. And my wife was like, Trevor, you got to come try this CrossFit thing. And I'm like, really? What is it? What's it all about? It's kind of silly. Like I've seen videos online, whatever, whatever, right? You could do CrossFit at LA Fitness. And so I was such a you know what that my wife literally canceled her CrossFit membership and came to LA Fitness and was trying to do CrossFit at LA Fitness. And finally, I want to say it was 2018. There was a 4th of July workout. And I was like, I'm a Patriot guy. So I'm like, if there's any workout that I'm going to go do, it would be the 4th of July workout at the CrossFit gym. So my wife was like, this is the moment. So she was like, Trevor, come to CrossFit Boynton Beach. This is back when we were back in South Florida, and come do this 1776, CrossFit workout. And I did. And I got my butt whooped. And I went in there with this mindset like, oh, I'm this, D1 athlete, I got it all taken care of. Like I'm gonna crush these fools. And I the realization that I was not actually fit made me love CrossFit. And so, like, literally the next day, I was like, hey, we're both signing up for CrossFit Boynton Beach, and we're going to be here like 6 days a week. And so, yeah, I've been doing it ever since. And since then, I've, uh, you know, CrossFit athlete, I guess. I've competed at a number of local competitions with friends of mine. And we've won multiple competitions. I'm really good at it, but I'm not a professional or anything. For me, it's more or less I train like an athlete because I want to win at life. And I think that CrossFit has helped me realize what fitness really is, because it demands so much energy and intensity and functional movements that even as a Division 1 athlete, if I compare I'm 32 years old right now, and I compare my mobility, my strength, my flexibility as a Division 1 athlete, I'm significantly more athletic now than I was as a baseball athlete, a Division 1 athlete at the highest level. So, um, I'm not a CrossFit spokesman person here, but it's really changed my life and my wife's life in such a positive way that now it's almost like a tool that I use for mental resilience, for discipline, for just staying fit and healthy. Um, and It's been really fun. And
For
it's
those
what's
that
really
have no
fun.
idea, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, no, go ahead. Go ahead.
For those that have no idea what CrossFit is, could you tell us a little bit more insight, the type workout?
Yeah, yeah. So CrossFit is high intensity, constantly varied movements, right? So what does that look like? That looks like a combination of uh, gymnastics, strength, and conditioning. So not every workout is going to be a combination of all those three at any given moment, but CrossFit as a whole um, brings every element of fitness into the fold throughout various workouts, right? So, for example, you might have a workout that is, um, you know, 10 ring muscle ups. And if you can't do a ring muscle up, you can do regular pull ups. If you can't do regular pull ups, there's always a scaled version. But some type of gymnastics like pull-ups, some type of strength like power cleans or back squat or bench press, and some type of conditioning, whether you're doing those movements at volume or you're doing running, right? And so there's a constantly varied environment where um, you're never stuck doing the same thing over and over again. You're always moving in a different way, and it creates a different stimulus. Now, I'm not the best person to totally explain the technical side of CrossFit, but it's intimidating for a lot of people because it it requires growth, because most people that walk into a CrossFit gym won't be able to do 90% or more of the movements at RX, meaning at the standard that they're supposed to be doing them at. So a lot of times when you first join a CrossFit gym, you have to scale. You have to go to the fundamental movement and work your way up. When I first got there, I couldn't even overhead squat a PVC pipe. And now I can snatch 240, 250 pounds over my head. So it requires this humility, vulnerability, and slow growth. But when you go through that process, you just become significantly more confident in your flexibility, your mobility, your ability to handle load at a high level, and your ability to withstand like intense conditioning workouts, which, ultimately all of that combined makes a pretty fit person.
Love it, love it. What last words do you have for us?
Well, I would say that first of all, thank you, Chris. This is awesome. And secondly, if you're out there and you know that there's a level of your life in general that you want to get to, and you feel resistance to that next level, and maybe it's like I said before, because you've achieved some level of success and you're worried about what that next level looks like. Um, Maybe it's because you feel stuck and you're like, I don't really know what's next. I know something's there, but I just don't know what that is. um, Maybe it's you feel like you've let yourself go in terms of the excitement and the purpose and the vision that you have for your life and your career and your business. um, then reach out. I mean, it's not, it's not really about me coaching you. It's really just about anybody. Like reach out. And in today's day and age, there's so much information out there that you can get access to help you navigate whatever your next level is. Um, and I would say this, there's so much information out there that alone can stall your next level because you can get trapped in information overload. You can get trapped in awareness. Um, Action cures all. And even if you take massive action and you fail, it's way better than not taking any action because you're going to pivot, you're going to adapt. And so feeling stuck, feeling overwhelmed, feeling not sure about your next level is normal. We all experience that. And don't be afraid to fail. Fail fast. Ignorance on fire. What is it? Knowledge on ice is no. What is it? You know this quote,
Ignorance on
Chris?
fire is better than intelligence.
Ignorance on fire is better than knowledge on ice, right? So just go for it. Like take action. If you need support, reach out to somebody, right? But don't stay in the headspace of stuckness of limiting beliefs. Take massive action. And if you need help in that process, there's people around there like myself that can help.
Where can people find you?
LinkedIn, go to just Trevor Maloney, and you'll find the bald head there. And you can find me on Instagram at Trev_Maloney on Instagram. You can go to Trevor at trevormaloney.com. That's my website. All those places are a great place to get in touch.
Awesome. Really appreciate your time today.
Yeah, man. Thanks so much, Chris.
Great to catch up.
Awesome. Yeah, man. All righty.
To our listeners, if you found value in this conversation, and I know you did, please be sure to subscribe, share, and let us know what you like best.